What's good, y'all? And here we are continuing these preseason preview videos. In this one, of course, we're doing the Boston Celtics. If you have missed any of the previous teams we've done, in the description there's a link to a playlist of all of them you can see. Here is a list of all the teams that we already did and are going to be doing. If there's a check mark, we already did it, check it out on the channel. If not, comment down below and I'll bump it up to the top of the list, get it out faster for you guys. Now that we got the housekeeping out the way, we can go back to talking about the Boston Celtics. Dominated the regular season last year, made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, went down 3-0, but was almost the first team to come back from being down 3-0 after forcing a Game 7 before ultimately losing to the Miami Heat. And they made a very big and very surprising change this offseason. I'm very excited to see this team going forward. Let's start off, as always, at talking about their key additions. Probably one of the biggest moves this offseason was this Kristaps Porzingis deal coming over to the Boston Celtics. Super excited to see KP in this new winning situation, to see how he's going to handle it. And then I did also just want to highlight Jordan Walsh as well, a rookie that the Celtics drafted this year in the second round. I could see him having some pretty good upside for them. Porzingis immediately comes to the Celtics team and becomes their third best player. They now have, I don't know how loosely you want to use the term big three, but they kind of do have a big three at this point. It seems like the Celtics love versatile bigs, as they have guys like Al Horford and Robert Williams already on their team. Kristaps Porzingis is another super versatile big for them to have on that roster. Porzingis is arguably a top 3 shooting big man in the league. He's super versatile on offense because he can pull up from damn near half court, get you in the post. He started to get a little mid-range going too in this game. He can, of course, attack the rim, be a great lob threat as well. I love his versatility on offense. And I haven't even talked about the defense, because he is also one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. I'm sure they will run some lineups where Porzingis is the sole big out there, but also I think a lot of the time he's going to be next to a guy like Al Horford or next to a guy like Robert Williams, both super great defenders as well. To see them paired up with another great defender of Porzingis, oh my lord, I cannot wait to see that Twin Tower lineup. And then I included Jordan Walsh as a significant addition to this team, not because he's going to make a big impact this season. He could, I don't expect it, but you know, it would be a pleasant surprise. I think he can really just develop further on, you know, going forward. I really like this Celtics developing team. They have a lot of homegrown talent, and I think Jordan Walsh can be the next kind of Grant Williams-esque role where, you know, he can just play defense. His three-point shot wasn't the best in college, but in Summer League, he did shoot 40% on, you know, pretty low volume. Still, if he can get that shot, you know, developed a little bit more, stay how good he is on defense, I think he can be a great wing defender for them. The Celtics did have to lose some players in order to trade for Porzingis, of course. So let's talk about the guys that they lost this offseason. Marcus Smart was the key piece in that Porzingis trade to really get it done. It was a 3-teamer, so Marcus Smart is now going to be in Memphis. And then they also did not have enough money to re-sign Grant Williams, so he got shipped over to Dallas in a sign and trade. When I first got the notification that Porzingis was headed over to the Celtics, I was super surprised. When I found out they were shipping out Marcus Smart, I was even more surprised. For so long, Marcus Smart has been like the heart and soul of this Celtics team through so many iterations of this team. You know, he played with Isaiah Thomas and those guys, played with Kyrie Irving and those guys. Now he's playing with Jason Tatum and these guys. Or I guess now he's not, but you get what I'm saying. It just really caught me off guard. I'm sure he's beloved there in the locker room since he has stuck around for so long. And then it even goes beyond that. You know, he's a super impactful player on the court. Don't forget, just 2 years ago, he was Defensive Player of the Year, the first guard since Gary Payton to win the award. Don't let that go lightly. Also, his playmaking has been incredible these last few seasons as well. He's really kind of upped that to really make an impact on the offensive side of the ball. There were reports that it was supposed to be Malcolm Brogdon in the trade being shipped out, but he failed his physical, so he couldn't get traded, so they had to go with Marcus Smart. I really wish it was Malcolm Brogdon that went. I think that would have been a steal of the deal, and you could crown this team as NBA champions right now. Unfortunately, though, Marcus Smart had to be the one that bit the bullet. And then when you talk about Grant Williams, I feel like the writing was kind of on the wall that he wasn't coming back this offseason. Not only the money, you know, they just couldn't re-sign him, but like in the playoffs, he was getting some coaches DMPs, or he played like 4 minutes here, 4 minutes there. Like, it was just really weird. I think the Celtics will miss Grant's defensive versatility. You know, he's able to guard guys like Giannis and then also be able to guard guys like Steph Curry. Not a lot of people can do that. And then like Marcus, he's also very well liked in that Celtics locker room, very close to Jason Tatum, I know, and Deuce and all that. And now that we've covered their roster changes, let's take a look at their potential rotation. And even though Porzingis is the only one new to the team, the Celtics did change their rotation quite a bit. They're going super big in the starting lineup with Derek White running point guard, of course Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum running the wings, and then two bigs down low with Porzingis and Al Horford. And then off the bench, we got Peyton Pritchard getting a more solidified role in the rotation. Sixth man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon. Sam Hauser is also going to get more of a solidified rotational role. And then, of course, Rob Williams. When I look at that rotation, the first thing that jumps out at me is the versatility of them. You could pretty much pick any 5 of those players and throw them out on the court, and it will probably work. Everyone on that team has a great combination of size and skill. Derek White at their starting point guard is 6'5". Peyton Pritchard is the only small one. I think he's only like 6'2"-ish. But Malcolm Brogdon, 6'4". Of course, Jason Tatum, he's a tweener. He can play anywhere from shooting guard to power forward at his, 6'8" size. Even down to their big men, I would say Porzingis is probably the worst perimeter defender, but even with his length, he can bother some guys. Al Horford and Robert Williams, I trust them fully to guard the perimeter on switches and different things. They have just a super versatile lineup. And then when you're talking offensively, Robert Williams is the only guy out there that you can leave, that you don't have to guard from the three-point line. I know Jaylen Brown, he had a pretty down year, but you still want to guard a wide open three. You're not going to leave him like that. Al Horford and Malcolm Brogdon were in the top 5, I want to say, at least top 10 in three-point shooting last season. Jason Tatum can light it up at any moment. Derek White is almost a 40% three-point shooter. They just have a lot of shooting on this team, while also a lot of defense. I'm loving it so far. And speaking of three-point shooting and defense, that's what their team identity is going to be this upcoming season, just 3-and-D. Here's a list of all 9 players that I believe are going to be in the Celtics rotation, along with their three-point percentage from last season and their stocks from last season. Of course, if you don't know, stocks are steals per game plus blocks per game. As you see, the Celtics have 5 players shooting over 38% from 3 and 3 players shooting over 40%. That is insane shooting. I do also want to point out this is the first season in Peyton Pritchard's career that he shot under 40% from 3. And then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, every player listed averages at least 1 stock per game, except for Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, but it's pretty obvious that those guys are going to be the 8th and 9th men of the rotation. It shouldn't be a surprise to really anyone, and it's not a hot take whatsoever for me to say that this Celtics team is going to have one of the best defenses in the league yet again. When you got guys like Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, that's their starting 5, by the way, all elite defenders, and then Rob Williams coming off the bench too as an elite defender. You really can't get any better than that. That's going to lead to them getting a lot of stops and being able to just advance the ball up real quick, get out in transition, whether that's an easy breakaway layup or breakaway dunk or wide open for 3, a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 situation. We know that this Celtics team wants to shoot as many threes as possible. That was, their whole game plan last season. Obviously, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Porzingis are all going to get a lot of attention from the defense when they have the ball. That could lead to a lot of other players being wide open from 3. Where Porzingis makes it really interesting too is since he is a stretch 5, he can be out there on the perimeter and have a wide open paint for Jason Tatum to drive down low or Jaylen Brown to drive down low, or just kind of open up the floor way more. And I think that this team is kind of going to be running a lot of like the old Houston Rockets, where it's a layup or it's a 3 and nothing else. The Celtics team does have one pretty glaring weakness though, and that is the fact that they have pretty much no playmaking on this roster. Here are the 7 players that averaged the most assists per game last season for the Celtics. You have Jason Tatum leading the way. Of course, he's their star player. He's going to have the ball a lot. He's going to pass the ball a lot because of that. Derek White, their new starting point guard, coming in at 2nd. Then they have Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, and their 3 big men. Needless to say, they do not have a lot of playmaking. Marcus Smart led the Celtics in assists last season, and even with him on the court, there was times where their late game execution just was not it. It was a lot of Jason Tatum ISOs or Jaylen Brown ISOs where it was just dribble, 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 step back 3. If it went in, amazing. Jason Tatum is an amazing shot maker, shot creator. And when it goes in, perfect. When it's missing though, and when he's having off nights, it was atrocious to watch. And that could be a reason why the Celtics have struggled so much to get over that hump. They don't have that late game management that they really need. In the playoffs, the game slows down. You can't get those easy transition buckets that we were talking about. They're probably going to like to get. You're going to have to set up set plays and set offenses. And when you don't have a legitimate playmaker and point guard, it makes things kind of hard. You do have Derek White, who's going to be their point guard. It's his first time being point guard since early in his career with San Antonio. So I don't want to knock him before I see it happen, you know, but he's just not naturally a pass-first player in my opinion. Then when you look at their guards off the bench, you got Malcolm Brogdon, who is definitely a score-first guy. You know, he was Sixth Man of the Year last season based off of his bucket getting. He can score. And then Peyton Pritchard also, he's pretty inexperienced. I don't want to label him too much as anything, but he definitely is mostly a shooter for the Celtics team. Maybe they ask him to step up. Where I think they should ask to step up is Jason Tatum. I think he playing more of a point forward role is going to really elevate this team a lot. Of course, you want Jason Tatum to score because he is that good at scoring. He's one of the best scorers in the league. But if he can up that playmaking a little bit, I think it's going to really just put the cherry on the top to this team. And now we get to the ceilings and floors of this Celtics team. For the ceiling, I have them as the 1 seed and as NBA champions. Jason Tatum comes out and really solidifies himself as a superstar. He's an MVP candidate. His elite scoring matched with his increased playmaking that I was talking about makes him one of the best offensive players in the entire NBA. You have both Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis as all-star conversations. I'm not going to say if they both make it or not, but both of them were really just on the cusp of this. And then to top it all off, Joe Mazzulla coaches a top 3 defense yet again. All this versatility, all these defensive-minded guys, just puts it all together and they win the NBA championship. And then for the floor, I have the Celtics as the 3rd seed, losing in the Eastern Conference Finals. They were able to use their defense and their star power to get through the regular season, but as I mentioned before, in the playoffs, everything slows down, and you know their offense just gets too stagnant without having a solidified playmaker out there, way too ISO heavy for their stars. There's just too much pressure on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to create for pretty much the whole team at that point, and it ultimately leads to their demise. Let me know where you guys think the Celtics are going to rank this season. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.